Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Justin, editor of Rapzilla, and I am here for episode 4 of Community During Chaos. And we are going to have Sade, Tee-Wyla, and Canon, and we're going to have a great discussion just like we have on the first 3 weeks. So this is episode 4, so everyone stay tuned. Again, we are having Sade, Tee-Wyla, and Canon will be joining us over this next hour and a half, and we're talking about issues that are happening in the community and how we can be leaders with everything that's going on. Again, we've been doing this every week and we've had some powerful conversations, and we're going to keep doing this for a while because you guys keep tuning in, and then hopefully as we keep going, we'll have more and more people impacted and things to talk about. You can catch some of the old episodes on the Instagram feed. Like, we actually have them on the post. We started uploading them to YouTube, Facebook, and you can also listen to it as a podcast on Spotify and Apple Music and everywhere else. So first up, we're going to have Sade talking about what she's been doing during this time. Then we're going to have Tee-Wyla, and then we are going to have Canon. Again, this is Community During Chaos. Get with Sade. Okay, everyone, we are here with Sade. So, what's been going on with you lately? I see you got the project with Drew Beck's coming. Lots of good music going on.
Thank you.
Just good to, I guess, creative during everything that's happening.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I'm working on a joint album with Drew Beck's, and we just put out a new music video. And this is all like a project that we kind of started before COVID, before all of the recent news and the protests and George Floyd and Breonna Taylor. Everybody, before all this stuff happened, we started planning this in like the fall, I think.
Right.
So it kind of took a different turn than we imagined, but for much more important issues than just putting out music. But that's kind of what I've been working on, like, personally. So we still want to like put out wholesome content and encouraging, edifying content, but also be aware of the bigger things that are going on right now.
Yeah, and you said you've been working on that for a while, so everything that's been going on kind of pushed that back, right? So in a way.
Yeah, it kind of pushed it back, but like even when we were getting things rolling off the ground, like making plans for videos and when we were gonna like the release dates and all that stuff, it's kind of like little by little, pieces got pushed back. So that kind of caused the whole project to be pushed back. So
Right.
it wasn't like we had everything done and then we had to put everything on hold. It was kind of like, oh, okay, we can't shoot this video now because there's a pandemic. Oh, we need to, be more vocal about the issues going on now than really single. Like, so it's kind of more like that.
So how has everything that's been going on affected you personally? Like, I know kind of this has been happening for years and years, but George Floyd seemed to have been like this catalyst that set everybody ablaze, like the world ablaze. For whatever reason, it just so happened to be him that did this. So, how did this affect you personally? Just those immediate, maybe couple of days, week afterwards.
I think like exactly what you said. This kind of seems to be like the the turning point or the catalyst. And it feels a little different now, the world's response, than all the other times this has happened, which is ridiculous to say, but it just feels a little bit different. I'm seeing people that I like know in real life and or have talked to like online, and that kind of held the whole I don't see color point of view. Like, I'm seeing them like change and like say, wait a minute, I get it now. Why things like that don't make sense, and it's just kind of like everything seems to be changing at whatever pace. So it's very different. Like, personally, I don't know, like I've like not slept very well for the last maybe like month and a half. Just like thinking about everything and trying to like keep everything in the perspective of my faith, and also just questioning like what I've been taught and what I grew up learning, and what I haven't learned yet about like my own culture, and about our own history, and just like coming to grips with seeing like the Matrix, and seeing everything kind of falling to pieces, like this big
Yeah.
illusion in America that, the American dream, and we're the best in education and all that stuff. And then you realize like our whole communities, like history has not been taught. And I don't know, it's like the veil is like, coming down, and the curtain, you can see the man behind the curtain now. And it's more, it feels stronger now than it ever has, which I think is a good thing.
Right.
Yeah.
So how you said kind of trying to, I guess, put your faith together plus what's been going on. So how have you been able to rectify that or rectify the things that have been happening kind of with a biblical point of view?
So seeing the protests and the demonstrations, just trying to go into it with, and I haven't actually been into any, I haven't been to any
Okay.
protests, a couple in my town, while I was working, but there's probably going to be more going on. But like watching some of the violence and the rioting, and seeing like immediate responses of, that's all evil, Christians should be doing that. Not, how Christ would behave, and that's not how Christ wants us to behave. And understanding that we are supposed to not repay evil for evil, and we're supposed to love our neighbors. At the same time, like knowing there are scales involved here, and like not wanting to judge by unjust scales. So kind of just being understanding of, as Christians we think X, Y, and Z, and then historically, if you take into account all the things that have led up to this activity, you kind of understand why the rioting is happening, and why there's violence, and why there's that kind of reaction, because you have pent up anger and oppression, and people are like, sick of it. So you have to be understanding of why it's happening, and also understand, maybe everybody's not following, what Jesus taught about, repaying evil for evil. And then maybe some people are, and they just see it more as, the people who built this country are being oppressed by this country. Should they, take it upon themselves to tear down what they think is theirs, and then you take it, that nothing is really ours, everything is God's. So it's like it's like a big kind of web, and I'm trying to weave through it and see things clearly, and like pray for that.
Yeah. So in addition to what you said too, you have this perfect storm of, people being quarantined and people being stuck at home, maybe scared, maybe nervous. And it's just all of this kind of hit together. And that's definitely affecting kind of the impact it's had on a global scale too, because everyone in the world is experiencing this at the same time. And then George Floyd at the same time became a global phenomenon. So it's kind of interesting how this how kind of this tragedy and this chaos of what's going on has traveled the entire world.
Yeah, that's right.
Like it went viral. Like it's crazy to think of that.
Yeah, and we don't have as much to be distracted by right now also. So that could be, just a big part of it. Sports are, I mean, they're coming back, I think, but sports was gone, a lot of entertainment was gone. Television production companies stopped, productions, and it's just kind of a time. It reminds me of like Hurricane Sandy. We lost power for like a week in my dad's, and we had nothing. I had like an acoustic guitar, and we had candles, and for a week, no internet, no power, and it was kind of just Bible study, play guitar, walk around outside. There's really nothing to do but reflect on things. And it feels like maybe this is like a big time of reflection, the distraction.
Yeah.
And so now, now it's like, it feels very serious.
No, I agree. Like Sandy would have, as someone in the East Coast like yourself, like I'm in Staten Island. Staten Island got hit really hard by Hurricane Sandy. Fortunately for me, not where I lived, but on other parts of it. And that was kind of like the closest thing to what's going on, and people's lives being destroyed. But for most people, it was kind of business as usual all over the country. But this is it, just escalated everywhere. So, I mean, for you, have you seen any change in the way your fans have interacted with you, or kind of, I guess, gone on this journey with you?
I mean, I'm saying like my timeline is still very much focused on like Black Lives Matter and
Hmm.
calling out systemic racism and oppression and just like posting encouraging posts and stuff from non-Black followers, and so I'm still seeing that. I know a lot of people have kind of said that things are starting to go back to normal, so it maybe
Right.
it's like the accounts that I follow. Um, I think I mean I can't recall too many specific examples of like fans asking me about like my thoughts on things, but I think there's uh, some understanding that maybe some of my non-Black fans are being more empathetic
Hmm.
to uh, I guess the way I think about things. I have like two very different political views in my head that are like they're very polarizing. So I don't really get political online a lot
Yeah.
because I haven't uh, I guess developed the right way to communicate them to my fans without polarizing them. So but yeah, like speaking out against this stuff, I just felt, moved to, and, I had to, and I saw it more as like a spiritual thing than, uh, a political argument. It's more of a spiritual issue. Um, so yeah.
Do you think in general artists and entertainers, performers are using their platforms wisely during this time? Like, is there anything you'd want to see more of or see less of?
Um, I would want to see more, I guess, like big celebrities, like top celebrities, like talking with their own voices.
Hmm.
And I mean, like, also like sharing, the petitions and keeping people informed about like, what events are happening and what demonstrations are happening and stuff, and um, reposting what other people are sharing. But it's also good to hear people who maybe, even if they don't understand everything fully, because none of us do. Um,
Yeah.
it's encouraging to see somebody be able to journey through their own thought process and arrive at a conclusion. Um, and so less of kind of seeming like you have everything figured out and you're reposting this, Black Power meme or whatever, and more, the dialogue and talking with your audience and with your fans. I think that would be nice from like the really big celebrities. I'm seeing, what I just said done with like um, people that have like maybe smaller platforms. So that's cool.
So how do you feel about like companies and I guess different platforms kind of shutting down or canceling things almost as a way of like making up for things? Like I've seen a lot of people say, all right, it's cool and all that you're getting rid of Aunt Jemima, but all we were asking for was, better policing or something like that. Like how does that make you feel?
Yeah, it kind of feels like pandering, but then like you kind of don't want to say that because they're doing something. So if they'd done
Right.
nothing, it would be just as bad. But it's just
Hmm.
not what the problem is. It's not like addressing the problem. But I guess it's at least keeping the conversation going. Um, but
Hmm.
yeah, to just stop service for you know a month or a day or something like that, and then to not try and work something out with your Black employees or your Black creators or go into the Black community and you know buy their products or use their services, to just to stop at the point of we're going to post a Black square and only play Black music or something like that. It does feel a little bit like pandery, um,
Hmm.
but again, like we don't know their hearts.
Right. Right.
So, like I said, as long as it's keeping the conversation going, I think it's definitely like beneficial. But it's not
Okay.
a stopping point.
Have you been able to do kind of anything, I guess, community effort wise, or had like any important, I guess, fruitful discussions or dialogues with anyone?
Um, Nothing specific comes to mind community wise. But yeah, dialogues is just me and my husband talking about things together, and helping each other is like understanding, and then also, like I said before, like supporting Black businesses. There's a lot of Black owned restaurants and stores and stuff where I live. And so we kind of have that in the back of our minds to go to, the Black-owned coffee shop that's right next to another coffee shop, and, spend our money there. So, yeah, nothing like specific, like community organization-wise, no.
Okay. What are your, I guess, hopes and dreams to come forward and out of this?
I guess sincere, from like non-Black community, just sincere, like understanding going forward, and like willingness to talk to each other, about things that I think the Black community has been trying to say for a long time. And then, yeah, I mean, just continue, like, speaking out against oppression and against racism. And just looking forward to maybe the next generation, being able to have fewer chains on them, in that respect than, the previous generation and our parents. But yeah, I would like to see, more art and more, creative output, that speaks on these things from a Christian perspective as well, especially in the church, not running from, topics like this that are, controversial, and not kind of pitting it between you have to be a Christian or you have to, or if you're a follower of Jesus, you can't acknowledge race, or you can't,
Right.
racism. You have to choose, either Jesus and we're all one family and we don't see color and we don't separate each other, or you can stand with Black Lives Matter and, and their whole cause, but, don't call yourself a Christian. So I guess I'd like to see like more output from leaders of the, the body of believers, on that front, and less division there.
Awesome. Now, where can everybody follow you, find you, listen to your music?
Yeah, they can follow me here on Instagram, Sade321. Same on Twitter. Should be the same on Facebook, and yeah, I'm all over like YouTube and Spotify and Apple Music, and so yeah, pretty much like the major services. And they can also like email me at ksnotw@gmail.com.
Okay, awesome. Looking forward to hearing the whole project when it drops and everything that's going on, because you and Drew killed it on that first single. And thanks so much for joining me. I will talk to you later.
All right, have a great night.
All right, you too. All right, everyone. So that was Sade. We are live next with Tee-Wyla, and then after Tee-Wyla, we are going to have Canon. All right, going live with Tee-Wyla. This is Community During Chaos. Hey.
Hey, what's up, man?
What up, brother?
Hey, what up?
All right, everybody. This is Tee-Wyla, producer extraordinaire. He is guest number 2 on Community During Chaos. We just heard from Sade. After Tee-Wyla, we are going to have Canon. Man, I'm excited to talk to you because I've been seeing everything that you've been doing on Instagram and Twitter, just in your community, and we'll get to that. So the first thing I want to ask you, though, is how have like the last, the events of like the last month and a half really impacted you and affected you?
Man, all right, so yeah, let's break it down, right? Can you hear me well? Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I can hear you well.
Okay, cool.
I'm
So all right, the last month. So honestly, my days are all jumbled, bro. Like I've been doing this
Feel that.
for 16 weeks. So for 4 months we've been like at it. So the last month, which would be what, all of May, right? The end of March, May.
Yeah.
Man, I don't even know where to begin. It's just stuff we've been doing every day. Uh, where do I begin? Figure how to break this down. For the last month, personally, I've been making sure that all of my conversations within my personal circle and my vocational circles have been really informed. This last month in regards to all of the information that we've been getting because of the pandemic, because of all of the injustices that have been happening back to back, uh, we've been seeing a lot of perspective, that may not be the most healthy in regards to Christians, right? A lot of Christians in my personal circle are very political and conservative, and I think some of that filter can really hinder conversations, right, from the personal side. From my vocational side, I coordinate outreach. I'm a program director. I'm a connector by nature and a reformer, so I'm always trying to improve and trying to put people and ministries together. Um, so I find that that's the one avenue in regards to acts of service where we can facilitate a moment where people forget about themselves, if that makes sense. Like,
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
so first thing we did, like last month, one of the things we've been doing with local dream center. I don't know if you're aware or know about the dream centers, around the country, around the world. Um, there's a dream center in Philadelphia that a good friend, Pastor David Dominguez, what he's been doing is pretty much what we've been doing, but he does it every day. He, gives out meals, gives
Hmm.
out food. He goes into the epidemic, the epicenter of Philadelphia, where all of the heroin and all the drug infested areas are, and they minister.
Right.
And what we've been doing is we partnered with them and we've been doing pop-up food drop-offs. So similar to, like, how you see a food truck in LA and they'll use IG and text, so we do
Yeah,
the
yeah.
same thing. So during the looting, when the looting started happening, there's certain areas in Philly that did not have access to food because they looted their ShopRite or their Save a Lot or their Supremo or whatever local grocery store was there. So I found a supplier and they gave us 15,000 pounds for a bunch
Wow.
of weeks, and that's just specific to that area. We'd find a spot, pull up the truck, a bunch of tables, just like super rogue, you know what I mean, like chaotic but organized. Drop off the food. The cars would come on the red light. Walkers would come, and we just give out food, and that's
It's
it.
awesome.
But something like that gives an opportunity for someone that may have a different perspective to come and serve, and they forget about themselves. They forget about stuff that's going on, and it allows their heart to break. I think that's the issue that
Yeah.
I'm seeing. You and I could talk about it all day, but has
Yeah.
your heart been broken? Have you experienced it from a first person perspective of what's going on? Have you gone out? Have you seen it? And what has been your call to action after that?
Yeah, I mean that's crazy because I looking at your Instagram post, I'm like, yo, where did they get all this milk, all this eggs? I was like, don't they know we're in a pandemic? Where are you getting all this food? So you
Yeah,
actually found this a supplier and you're basically supplying Philly. Like you
yeah,
guys are the food guys. And
yeah,
I think it's first of all, that's amazing. And then having you as coordinator, I feel like is perfect because from you and I, from our relationship and just
yeah.
spending some time with you, you know, like everybody. I kept calling you when we were in Atlanta. You were the mayor. Because everybody, oh man, that's Tee-Wyla, and everyone's coming up to Tee-Wyla, shaking your hand. You're like, oh, that's that guy. That's this guy. You are the perfect guy for this job.
Man,
Um,
thank you.
so is what's I'm not sure if you mentioned the church or the organization that you're working with, and
Yeah,
I know you posted some stats on Instagram. If you want to read some of
oh,
those off,
yeah. I don't have them on me. It's on my phone, but to date, it's like,
just guess, just take a guess.
all right. So I could say so. Okay, uh, so for the past 16 weeks, we have been delivering and distributing food to our area. I live in an area in Pennsylvania called Bucks County. So I'm
Hmm.
right on the border of Northeast Philadelphia, and it's southern Bucks County. So we still consider it the greater Philadelphia area because I'm only 5 miles from Philly. So
Right.
we're still right there. Uh, but every week we give out anywhere between 14 and 16,000 pounds of food every Sunday. and
Wow.
we give out food from 2 to 4 o'clock, and yeah, 16,000 pounds of food, and we get eggs, we get milk, we get USDA boxes filled with potatoes, fruits, vegetables, pasta, tomato sauce,
Wow.
rice, uh, all that stuff, man. It's pretty crazy. Shout out to my son. He just gave me all the stats. So yeah, to date we've given out
Hit me.
157,000 and 431 pounds of food,
Wow.
131,191 individual meals.
I know. I was reading it. I was
Yeah,
like, I'm
but
gonna put him. I'm just gonna put. I'm like, I'm gonna put him on the spot if I mention it because this was way too much here.
no, but you know what? One thing that I have to say too, like, the numbers may sound impressive, but honestly, as a church, my church is called Christian Life Center, uh,
Okay.
and Christian Life Center is an Assemblies of God church. Uh, and honestly, man, we do this because we care. We're committed. I think what happens now during the pandemic and then during all the social unrest that we're seeing is this is designed for the church to operate and mobilize like never before. If the
Hmm.
church if the church were to do what it was supposed to do, there would not be a WIC or a welfare program. If the church was doing what it was supposed to be doing, there would not be foster care. If the church did what it was supposed to be doing, there would not be homelessness, or even, I would even dare say, drug addiction, or less, or maybe less drug addiction or less crime, because we
Right.
focus on the family, we focus on the individual. And those are things that I've learned that during this time, man, if you're seeing what I call is the sifting, right? Like you're seeing the sifting between the real and the fake, or
Yeah.
the deep and the shallow. And honestly, that's what we could. The first thing we did was with my pastor. I love my pastor. He's super outreach driven, people driven. I hit him up kind of first, second day during the pandemic, and we were like, what can we do to come up with a way to help the community? And we thought about food. We're like, all right, let's get some food. Let's, connect the dots. And that's what I do, right? Like my job or my
Hmm.
nature as a connector, I just started making calls, and I encourage anyone. I think I seen what's the young sister uh that got signed to Capitol from New York, Angie Rose.
Angie.
Angie's been doing something similar, right?
Yep.
Giving out
Yeah.
food,
We had her on
mobilizing,
too. Yep.
yep, mobilizing donations and that. So it's not hard to do. There are organizations you can, start with from the state level, and find these organizations that can give food. The only thing for us is we had a 501c3, our tax number, right? Our nonprofit number. If it's easier when you have a nonprofit, because then they can write it down and they have grant money and grants for food, so you can do that. So first couple weeks, I found this small supplier, and they hooked it up, but it wasn't a lot. They just gave us a couple things, maybe about 7,000 pounds, and that sounds like a lot still, but
Yeah. When you're giving
honestly,
away free food though, and there's so many people
yeah,
coming through, right?
yeah,
That goes real quick.
yeah, 7,000 pounds could only feed about 120 people. And so we did that first week, talking 15 weeks ago, and we're like, well, all right, so we got some of that. Let's figure out how do we supplement a real meal, a complete meal. So we started going to the church and asking them, like, hey, what are some things that we can donate to give out to the community? And as we were doing that, we kind of got it going. We got in contact with Convoy of Hope. That was our first partner, and
Yeah.
Convoy of Hope is a really big emergency aid relief nonprofit. They uh, they hooked it up. They gave us 36,000 pounds. They came in a big 18-wheeler, dropped it off,
Wow.
and
Nice.
we gave that out. And the crazy thing is, 36,000 pounds could only kind of give us for 3 weeks because so many people were in need. And I live right, kind of maybe 2-3 hours from Amish people, like the Amish country.
Hmm.
And I found a partner with them after we ran out of food, and I was like, "Yo, like this is a good spot." because they got all the farms, they got all the farmers.
Right, right.
They and they came and they got a truck driver for us. We pay a delivery fee, and they
Awesome.
bring it, and then we separate it. I got 101 volunteers so far, um, and every week, we have maybe about 25 volunteers every week, man.
Wow.
Yeah, so
That's
it's
that's
I,
awesome, man.
yeah, I don't, it's been crazy because I haven't talked about it, right? Because like even with my IG, most of my IG stuff is like music related or like dad stuff,
Yeah,
so I don't talk
I
about
feel that. Yeah, it's either my IG is either I'm interviewing somebody or here's a picture of my kids.
it.
So so it's the same deal. So speaking of kids, I mean,
Yeah.
what kind of conversations are you having with your kids? Coronavirus, social injustice, George
Oh,
Floyd, everything that's going on. I know you have three kids.
I do, and that's one right
So,
there. Actually, that's her birthday today. That's her
oh,
birthday
happy
today.
birthday.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
so I know she's the youngest one, right? So
She's
she's
7.
she's she's a little young, but
Yeah,
I know she's probably still wondering what's happening. So, I guess what kind
yeah.
of convos are you having?
I'll leave it. I'll say it like this. Uh, Lavarsier is probably one of my closest friends,
Hmm.
and we've had so many deep conversations over the years. Um, I kind of I don't filter a lot of these conversations with my children. Uh, I use media in ways to help kind of facilitate the conversation with my kids to get it at their
All right.
level so it's palatable. Because a lot of this stuff is deep, because we're dealing with primary identities, right? Of who people are, what their value systems are
Yeah.
on every angle. Whether you're a police officer, whether you're a civilian, then you're dealing with the other types of identity of what do you do? How do you carry yourself? What kind of jobs do you have, right?
Right.
So, and then you talk about societal stuff from the government level, how deep it's gone, right? Like, so with my kids, one of the things we do is we share not so much about race, but we share the injustices on what is a Christian supposed to respond with. We
Yeah.
respond with love. Um, Everyone has a preference and everyone has a bias. And a lot of times that can turn into something else. But honestly, it's okay to have a preference and a bias. That's what I tell them. But I think when it becomes hurtful to other people and offensive to other people, where you disregard how other people are feeling because of your bias, then
Hmm.
it becomes weaponized or it becomes dangerous. So those are some of the conversations I have with them. Also, honestly, man, this outreach stuff is really the perfect way for them. My son, he's shown me a side of him that I've never would have never thought, man. Like my oldest son's 17, and 10 weeks ago, 14 weeks ago, 15 weeks ago, it was just me in the very beginning,
Yeah.
getting the food, and he would come with me, first one in, first one out. And man, he just turned into a leader like overnight. And now he's helping out, does his own thing with other ministries, helps bring other teenagers
That's
and
great.
engages with them. So, the outreach portion of it allows him to see what's going on from a different side. Uh, I try to make sure I have other people that are professionals, like a good friend, Timothy Welbeck. He's a uh, African American studies professor at
Yeah.
Temple. He's a good friend and has helps us navigate. Actually, speaking with him on Wednesday again to kind of help navigate some things.
Hmm.
Those are things that I'm trying to do as a parent. Just steward my children on what our value systems are,
Yeah.
because I think that's what's happening is everyone's being told what to think. No one's critically thinking anymore, and I think the
Right.
hardest thing is as a parent making sure that my kids know right from wrong, but then also, that they know, like the main one, here's the main one. We're ambassadors of heaven. I'm not from here. I may have been born to parents, right? And
Yeah.
have a passport, but I have to at some point my allegiance has to shift.
Hmm.
especially now. My allegiance is in heaven. My allegiance is in Christ and Christ alone. So, I do believe that he's going to come for me one day. He'll come for us one day. And I have to represent, what heaven is. And that's one of the primary things that we teach our kids. It's like, love your neighbor as yourself. Love God with all your heart. If you see someone in need, help them. If you see something that's wrong, say something.
Yeah.
If you see someone that's hungry, feed them. You know, because honestly, legislatively, things may not change,
Right.
but from the microcosm of society and community, that's how we change.
Right.
You know, also like from an example, like I'm part of a task force at the church. We're doing a joint service with Bishop Hezekiah Walker, and it's like a really African American church, and our church is the complete kind of not the opposite, but you know what I'm saying. It's a little different.
Yeah.
And we're joining services. We're joining praise and worship. We're joining the sermon time. We'll do that continually. In our task force, we have some directors of the Police Athletic League. We have some community police officers. We have some pastors, some young people that are activists.
Yeah.
We talk about that. My pastor is also on a task force for the state with our local congressmen, the directors of the chapters of BLM in the area, NAACP, and we're constantly trying to come up with things that are long lasting. I think that's the other conversation I had with my kids recently. It's like, if we're going to do something, do it for a long period of time. Don't just do
Right.
something and then stop. I don't want my kids to see that we're just doing this because it's a trend or a fad.
Right.
And it's a shame, but
Absolutely.
that's what's happening. A
Hmm.
lot of churches are doing it now because it's a fad. And and I'm saying it that way because it's the popular topic to talk about.
Right. Right.
But what are you going to do 3 months from now?
That's the real test. It's almost like, a person. Are you going to be the same person you are right now, in 2 months, 3 months, 6 months from now? Like, you have to, everyone says, keep that same energy, like keep
Yeah,
that same thing going. You have to be the person who you're trying to be all the time. You can't just be a fake for one time. And
that's it.
social media makes that really easy.
Really easy. Yo, let me ask you, how you feel like you've changed in the last 14 weeks?
Yeah, I think it's hard. I think it's crazy. If you didn't change, I'd say in the last 14 weeks, I'd say you're in the minority here because it's just adjusting to America. And as Americans, we always feel like, oh, there's nothing can happen to us. Like we don't have diseases or we don't have pandemics. We're not we're not filled with injustice towards its own people. We're not
Yeah,
rioting and looting in the streets.
yeah,
We don't have all these problems that these other countries have.
yeah.
And then kind of when it happens to us, you see what happened. Everyone's like, oh, like what do we do? We have no idea. We've never experienced this before.
Yeah, yo.
So it's like I think everybody had to have changed in some way. Now the question is, have you changed for the better, or have you become bitter, or have you have now a warped sense of reality? That's
Ooh,
what
that's
we'll
good.
that's what we'll find out, in those 2 or 3 months from now.
Yeah, because yo, it's even strange going to certain stores now that they've opened up because you start seeing. I've always been a people watcher, right? So I'm always observing. Most times I'm quiet, even when I know somebody, I'm just chilling, right? And I've been studying people, and it's crazy to see how other people look at each other. And it's like
Yeah,
everyone's kind of on edge. They don't
on
know what to
edge.
say. I just saw a video like maybe an hour ago of some lady. Uh, she flipped a dude a bird. She was driving, flipped on the bird, called him a name, and I guess she wasn't expecting him to follow her and have a conversation. He got
Right.
out the car, and she starts crying and like throwing herself on the floor, becoming the victim. And he was just trying to talk.
Yeah.
But that to say, so many people are on edge, and they're just like they're not realizing that you could have a conversation with somebody,
Yeah.
but your actions do have consequences, and especially now, like you might now just get pulled out your car if something, you know what I mean? Like, it's a shame to say, but I think we're headed in that direction. Like, if you're not careful and you have that hostility towards somebody, they're gonna yank you out the car. Like I seen it. I remember '92 with the riots. Like I think you and I are
Yeah.
similar in age. Like I remember seeing it live on television. You know, '92 being the Watts area, right, in L.A.
Yeah.
Like when they pulled that white guy out the 18-wheeler out the truck.
Yeah.
You know, and I always think about that. You know, and I feel like unfortunately some of the change that we're seeing, it's we're looking at everything from a race perspective. And honestly, man, I think that's how can I say this? I think this is where the powers that be may want us to go there, bro.
Yeah.
You know,
It
because that's the
it's
only
hard.
way. That's the only way to overthrow a government like ours to shift into a different perspective. You know,
Yeah.
and the only way we can overcome all of this, honestly, is through love and really trying hard to show the light of Christ. Because I don't know how much time we got left, man. Like, you
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like, I don't
Yeah.
know. Like the Bible says, like, work while it's daytime, while you can, because when the nighttime comes, and I think we're seeing glimpses. What you think? Like, I feel like we're seeing glimpses of what the world would look like without the Spirit of God. Like once we're gone, like we're seeing little moments of anarchy here and there,
Hmm.
and it's just like, dag, yo, it's pretty hectic.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a confusing time for everybody. It's a scary time for everybody. And it's just everyone's kind of it's almost like everyone's living for the moment.
Oh,
Like no one's looking kind of at the future. No one's worrying about the past. It's like I'm just trying to get through today.
yeah.
So
But
it's
the flip
it's
side,
it's tough.
the flip side of that is actually it's good to do that at times, meaning cherishing the time you have and living in the moment, you know, because tomorrow's not promised. I think of the Most Def song, what's that? Umi says from Black on Both Sides, like,
Yeah.
uh, you know, for you and me, life is not promised. Like that's how it goes, you know. Like we don't know, you don't know. You know, it's a shame to think that. And it's
Hmm.
for a lot of our white brothers and sisters, you know, we don't have to think, they don't think like that, but we have had to. You know, I've had to. My son has to. You know, I had to train my son, especially with like before Arbery, like all the other stuff, man. It's like, yo, like if you're running outside, like this is what happened. Like,
Yeah.
don't put your hood on. You know, don't look menacing. It's a
It's a
shame that I
sad
have to
thing.
say that.
Yep.
You know, and then the other thing about it, right? This is something else that we've been doing is I given out we had a connect with McDonald's, and they gave us, man, I think we had about 800 dozen cookies, chocolate chip cookies from McDonald's. And you know, we gave half of them out, but I had about 428 dozen cookies left over. So we went out to every single precinct in Philadelphia, every single precinct. And I made sure I spoke to the community relations officer of every precinct, got their
Nice.
card, engaged in dialogue, and
Hmm.
asked them their perspective. Because the thing about this is not every police officer is evil. A lot of them are good police officers. They just don't have the life experiences to know what to do. They're not in the hood. They're not in black neighborhoods. They're not from black neighborhoods. So they don't know how to respond.
Hmm.
You know, and even with that, like I think thinking ahead, I think that's, you know, living in the moment, of course, is good, but thinking ahead and looking at like, yo, what's it going to be with the relations of police officers from now on? Like, how
Right.
is that going to look like? Because they went back, like, and granted, I do believe that the fraternal order of police is has corruption in it. I don't necessarily believe it's just the departments.
Hmm.
You know, I do believe that some of the practices from a legislative side, from a governmental side that kind of govern what police officers and departments do are corrupt. But not every police precinct is bad. Some of them actually do need money.
Yeah.
But there are some, you know, there are some police districts in rural America that they just have so much money, and you can tell. My mom, you know, my mom works for the city, and state stuff as well. And she would always tell me, you could always tell how much funding a police department has by the type of cars they drive, because they put a lot of money into those cars. But sometimes there's not much crime.
Right.
But it's such a hard conversation to have, man. So much going on in regards to how to steward, the perceptions of people, and especially my kids, because I took them with me. Like,
Yeah.
all that to say about the 428 dozen
hmm
cookies, I took my kids with me. I
It's
took them,
like
like, go
it's
ahead,
on
Zach.
the scene training almost. It's like this is how
Yeah,
you deal with people. So everyone, if you're just tuning in, you're just watching. This is Community During Chaos. We've had Sade. This is Tee-Wyla. Canon is up next. I got one more question for you, Wyla, and then
yeah,
I got to get to Canon. As someone who believes heavily in mentorship, like you do,
yeah.
are there younger artists confiding into you? And also, how do you think that younger artists are doing on their platforms through all of this?
Oof. You're asking me to make a decision call on people that are still growing. So I'll back up on that one. Um, I've always said this, and I'll say it again forever. People need to learn how to be mentored.
hmm Yeah.
Finding different types of mentors. It's not just finding one person that got to connect or they're in it to help you. I have different types of mentors for me. And the people I mentor, there's a group of people that I mentor that I can say and they can attest that I pour myself into them. It's a small group, but I want to make sure that I'm effective. Like Kardec is one of them. You
Yeah.
know, OB has been one of them. All the pretty much the younger producers. A lot of younger artists as well. Like, it's just, I think managing the expectations of an artist that's going through this, because, man, for artists it's so tough. And I'm sure there's something, I want to hear Canon even talk on this, right? Because in order to get to the psyche of what someone's going through, for example, Derek Minor, when he dropped Trap, how prophetic was that album, and we didn't even realize it. Like, that gives me the perfect example of the Black experience and the psyche behind it from both sides of the spectrum.
Right.
But it's a thin line that you have to cross and walk on to do that, because how far do you go
hmm
before you lose the filter of scripture and you're just talking like everybody else, and there's nothing that distinguishes you as an ambassador of Christ?
It's a valid point.
But then what happens also, because honestly, who else is cataloging what's going on? No one but the rappers.
The street poets, they're telling the stories
Yeah,
of the streets.
yeah, and you can't knock them. I greatly respect what Lecrae is going through right now. A lot of people could argue, and I'm sure people say stuff, but I love how transparent he's been, and he's brought us into his struggle, his
hmm
his back and forth with what's going on. We've been able to see it, and he's putting it through music, and we've seen the dips, we've seen the redemption, we've seen all the ways, and looking back at all of his catalog, we're able to see all those changes. And I think younger artists should look at that and take some notes and say, oh, maybe we should, learn from some of this stuff. Maybe putting everything that we think, not the smartest idea. Find someone else and talk behind the scenes. Use
hmm
your platform to come up with conversations on how to
It's good,
have
man.
dialogue that's not emotionally driven. Yes, it hurts. I feel for Reconcile and Young Noah and uh uh I forgot his name. Third Ward. Trey Nine. I feel for them because they were out there.
Yeah.
And they have to be in the community when George Floyd, passed, and dealing with that heaviness and that weightiness. But there's a call to mission, and there's a call to purpose that transcends how I feel.
Mm-hmm.
I may feel like giving up, but if my purpose and my mission is further ahead of what I feel, I keep going because my filter is the mission and the purpose. But what
Right.
is it? And I think a lot of younger artists, if I say anything, it's start redefining what your mission and your purpose is. If it's not through the filter of scripture and a healthy perspective, where's the salt? Where's the preservation of the gospel? Because now you're just another voice that sounds like everybody else.
Facts.
I if you're creating music and art that brings me through the emotion that I may be feeling, navigate me through it so that by the end of the song I can feel hope. Don't just leave me stuck because you're processing your emotions to me, because then you just abandon the mission and the call because now you're just
It's a
spewing
good
your
point.
emotions out. You're
Yep.
not like them. We're not like them.
Needs a resolution.
Yeah, and that's the beauty that I always, I love always, shout out my brother Dayton. Since we first met, and did our first songs, it was always that, like, take me through a story. Tell me your story. Give me a resolve at the end. Don't
Mm-hmm.
just leave me there. Point me to Christ at some point. Point me to hope at some point. Drop the main idea. If your punchline, meaning the overall punchline, not just the bar,
Right.
but
Right. Right.
if your twist and turn is at the end, then so be it. But give me something. Because if not, you're just like everybody else. It's great to have bars. And trust me, we know what bars are. We study them. But bars means nothing. That's just shallow. If you're not giving me a really a conviction to get stirred up to mission.
Mm-hmm.
That missional mindset. And I'm not talking being churchy. I'm not talking about churchiness.
Yeah.
I'm just talking about, like, looking at, okay, perfect example. Martin Luther King, Freedom Now movement, the original early on Black Panthers, right? They had a mission. It was a difference in the mission. When Freedom Now came out and Martin Luther King started the movement, it was a very anti-violent mission. It was a well-organized mission. When he touched down to a certain area in the country, everyone flocked to him.
Yeah.
The organizational style had that one leader, or the organizers had a leader.
Mm-hmm.
What ended up happening, and granted, I don't know how deep we're going to go, but we can blame it on COINTELPRO, right? And the counterintelligence, how they deceptively divided these groups. Because as this was happening, Stokely Carmichael, everyone was like, well, yeah, that's cool, but you're not going to get nothing done being passive. We need violence. We need aggression. So when they started, Black Power movement, and it was a branch off, they started being more violent. And now, granted, in the very early stages of Black Panther movements, it was not, what they call it to be. They were doing some amazing things.
Yeah.
And those are the things that we should be doing as Christians: feeding the people, educating the people, letting them know, hey, it's okay to carry a gun. Don't be ignorant about it. Get the training, because if you're, you know what I mean? If you're a
Yeah.
buffoon out here and you got a gun and you're emotional, oh, forget it. It's over for you. All those little things. Like, it's okay to talk about that, especially as Christians. Like, shout out to Lavoisier. Like, he's a big proponent on that. You know, but I think as Christians, if we have a call to mission, like, what is it that we're going to do together? What are we doing? If we're giving money, who are we giving money to? I loved what I saw in Atlanta with the One Race movement, and Scott Free, and
Mm-hmm.
and City Takers.
Yeah.
There's a mission behind it. There's a movement behind it. People can rally behind that.
It's got a purpose.
Yeah, and I think as artists, that's something you have to get behind. That's my, I don't know.
No,
That's,
that's dope. I always say you drop more bars than any rapper, and you're a producer. So
yeah.
maybe you should have rapped. But
Praise God,
but
bro.
uh but that's great, man. Everybody who's watching, this is Community During Chaos. We had Sade, we have Tee-Wyla, and Canon is coming up next. T man, thank you so much for dropping some gems on us. Everyone who's watching this now, go follow his page so you can see what he was talking about doing in his community and in Philly. And you're just, I guess, going to be continuing to do that for the foreseeable
Oh
future,
yeah.
right?
Oh yeah. And there's some other things that we're starting to do now aside from food. We're realizing uh the greater need for dialogue. You
Mm-hmm.
know, so we're starting to facilitate conversations with young adults, or what we call working professionals. You
Right.
know, because one thing is to feed people, but there has to be, you know, where do we go from here?
Mm-hmm.
And what we're doing next is, you know, like I mentioned, the task forces and some of the dialogues that we're having with young adults, but also going into the communities and finding out where the areas are. So one thing we're doing, and I say all this to encourage to the people that are listening or rewatching, you know,
Yeah.
if you're in your city and you feel like there's a need, connect with some people and ask them. That's what I did. Like we did with all the 21 precincts in Philadelphia. We were like, hey, what's the biggest need right now? What do you see? Where's the most crime in the area that you feel is the biggest problem? Because those are the areas that it's happening in.
Mm-hmm.
And those are the areas that police officers are going to that don't have life experience. So they're just like shaken because or you see them hiding, you know, they like a lot of times they don't want to engage. They're just chilling.
Yeah.
So if those are the areas, one of the things that we want to do is like the Adopt a Block ministry. I don't know if you heard about that.
No.
So Adopt a Block, I think it started in Gary, Indiana, and went to like Compton and different areas. So what Adopt a Block is you take a group of volunteers and you do every Saturday. You do the Saturday morning to like late afternoon, evening. You knock on, you know, you go like find a crime heavy area and you adopt the area. So you take maybe 20, 30 people, you knock on the door and say, hey, you know, we wanted to see how you're doing. If you need any food, do you need like some cleanup? Do you need anywhere, anything that I could help you with? Do you need delivery? What can I do for you? You do that for like
It's
three, 4 weeks and you commit to that community, right? You work with the police and you let them know, hey, we're going to be here. We're going to do this. And the end game is after 4 or 5 weeks in a month, you have a community day. Then you have, you know, the bouncy houses. Then you have a free clinic. Then you have food drop offs, things to help them, bring them out, engage the community. Then you bring the police officers and they're helping
awesome.
and they're serving. No one's thinking about the crap that's going on. They're just thinking about other things.
It's an escape for a little bit of time.
And that's where once the guard is down, then you go in. Then you know present the gospel.
It's
Then
great.
you pray.
Yep.
Then you become a peacemaker. That's what we're doing next. You know, because we need tangible change. Like we need something and I can't wait for the police to do it because they're not going to do it. They're just doing their jobs. And they
Mm-hmm.
work for us.
Yeah.
So with that mentality, it's like, all right, if you are in your area, I don't know where people are from, but like if you're like, you know, say you're in New York, find some food distribution spots. If you need help, I got you. Email me, DM me. You know, find some things like that. If you want to learn about Adopt a Block, I'll show you the information. But you know, just to empower and encourage people, like you don't gotta be some special person. Just do it.
Yep. Yep. No, that's big words of encouragement. Everybody who's watching now, just do it. Like, don't wait. If you feel the heart or the need to impact your community in any way, just go. Like, it's as
Yeah,
simple for most people. It really is as simple as just finding out what to do, and then you
yeah.
just go and you
You just
fill
do
that
it.
need.
And even if it's like cooking, if you want to cook, you know, find a little, like start small, but be committed to the small thing. And
Yeah.
what I love about, you know, just the help of the Holy Spirit is these are supernatural things, bro. This is not regular stuff. It started small and we were committed to that small yes. And then God kept
And then
finding
it just
people.
just grew.
Every step we took, the Lord was like, all right, come on. You know, like everywhere we laid our feet on, the Lord gave it to us. You know, but that'll happen across the country. Like that's going to be the key to revival. Is a lot of what we're seeing now. You know, younger pastors and younger
Mm,
churches that are in the community just do it.
yep. But that's it, man. Thank you so much for again dropping wisdom on everybody, and I want to encourage you to just keep going. And I'm gonna have to have you back because I want to see where you go. Maybe in a a couple months if this is still going on and going strong, I'll
Oh,
definitely have you back.
we're committed to doing this after. Like
Okay.
we're committed to doing it just because we don't foresee the world getting any better, bro. I'm sorry to say it,
Yeah.
but in order for Christ to come and the way things are happening, this stuff kind of has to happen.
Yeah.
But saying that, our light has to shine brighter, so we're committed to doing it regardless. So yeah,
All right.
it's an
Dope.
honor to be on here, man. Thank you.
Yeah. No. Thanks for blessing us for gracing us.
No, man. No, not at all. Not at all. Thank you for having me, man. And thank you. Happy to share
Yeah.
and help anybody that's interested in doing outreach and all that stuff.
Yep. Dope, man. All right. I'll talk to you soon.
All right, brother. Later.
Later. All right, everyone. So that was Tee-Wyla, producer in CHH, doing great things in his community. We had to open up the show. Now we are going to Canon. I see he's been in here. He's been in here for a while. Yo, everyone. Oh, there you go. There you go. I was gonna say, I hope it's not me.
No, you good. How you been, bro?
I've been good. Just trying to do what I can from home with my family. Uh, you know, trying to stay safe, but trying to have conversations and kind of doing important work as much as I can.
Yeah.
And I know you. I'll toss that back to you. I've been following you along on Instagram and Twitter, and just kind of seeing how your heart's been and how your mind has been over the last month.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's been difficult to say the least, man. I don't know. People ask me that all the time, like, "Yo, how are you doing? You all right? Good?"
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, "Well, should I be? You know what I'm saying? Like, in light of
Right.
what's going on, should anybody be okay with what's been going on? I mean, shoot, even if it wasn't all the racist stuff that's been going on, it's the pandemic. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
if the racial stuff wasn't enough, you know what I'm saying? You got the pandemic that's killing hundreds of thousands of people, you know? So, um, I've never been the type to just kick it, like just kick the dust and just kind of give you just whatever answer. Honestly, man, it hasn't happened yet.
Yeah.
It's been difficult seeing people die. It's been difficult seeing people that look like me die. These conversations don't get any easier. They've been very difficult to have. Um, and then just just my mental peace, my mental stability. Um, man, it's been difficult, even just trying to create barriers and boundaries of how much you consume. You're like, it's one thing to try to turn off social media, but it's another thing to have to actually live what social media portrays. Um,
Mm-hmm.
you know, uh, if I go out, I mean, I live in a red state, and it's not it's not easy living in a red state as a person of color. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and a lot of times you get a lot of stereotypes that comes with a red state. And being there, you deal with a lot of different things in the South. And so me, man, I'm just trying to find healthy ways to create boundaries for mental peace, spiritual peace, emotional peace. It's hard to go anywhere where something isn't disrupted.
Yeah.
Mentally something ain't disrupted. Spiritually, your spiritual well being ain't disrupted. And um, I don't think anybody has the privilege of just being okay right now. Uh,
Right.
unless you just have ways, um, that doesn't connect to the world. But I think any fashion or form, any way that you connect to the world or you connect with real people with real issues, I think that peace will always be disrupted in some fashion or form. And so, yeah, that's where I'm at, trying to navigate what does peace look like in this time. Um, you know, and yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I saw your Instagram post kind of as I was getting ready to do this, and I'm like, shoot, man, like this is the exact thing that he's trying to get away from. So,
No,
so I'm like,
it's cool.
but
It's cool. Like after this, I'm off. Like
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah,
literally after this live, like I'm off. Like I'm deleting Instagram app off my phone. Like I'm deleting Twitter off my phone, Facebook off my phone. I'm not answering phone calls. I'm not replying to text messages. I'm getting it out. I'm getting out for me. You know what I'm saying? Like I need peace for myself, for my family.
yeah.
So I can be healthy for others. For I can be healthy for myself. And so, you know, I don't feel necessarily a need to explain why that's important, but I think people need to be able to find a separation, a place where they can just say, all right, enough is enough. Let me get healthy. And then when I feel better, I'll come back so I can actually be valuable. I can actually be of value to the culture or the community that I see myself serving. So,
Right.
um, yeah.
I've had this conversation with Derek where it's just like now you or Derek or whoever, it's like now they're that black friend who has to answer questions all the time from their white friends or from their whatever friends.
Yeah.
You know, it's almost like, and some people feel like, oh, I'm obligated to answer these questions, but you don't have to be obligated to do anything. Like if, and I want to ask you this, like in order to be a leader in a space, and have this platform, you need to take care of yourself first. And that was my first question to you, like how important is actually controlling and I guess getting well your mental health before you even decide to put your voice out on a platform.
Yeah. I think I mean, shoot, people will remember what you say, sometimes a lot more than what you did,
Mm-hmm.
when it comes to social media. And I say that because, you know, we live in an era where people will pull up your history of what you said on social media. Such and such
Mm-hmm.
said this 10 years ago on Twitter, and now they
Yep.
blast you for it today. You know, like when it comes to social media, people will remember you for what you said, sometimes more than what you did.
Mm-hmm.
And on other platforms, people may remember what you actually did than what you actually said. You know, you might come back and correct yourself from saying something, and you might do a whole video chat apologizing, but people may not forget what you said because they overlook what you did. That, you know, it just depends on the platform. So I say that to say,
Right.
like, it's important because you want to know what you need to say. You want to be able
Right.
to know how to communicate your thoughts effectively and clear. Um, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all of that. When you put up a post, it's almost as equivalent to maybe writing a text to somebody, because the person who's reading it might take it personal. They think you're talking to them in particular,
Mm-hmm.
and they don't also know the tone on your voice when you say things. So a lot of what you say may get misconstrued, and people don't understand
Right.
the weight of what you're saying, and that defeats the purpose of even the original post to begin with. So
Right.
you want to be at a place where you know and you're confident that this is what you want to say. You want to be confident that as you're saying these things or what you say, you want to be confident on how you could respond if needed a response. Um,
Right.
and so it's hard to do that when you have a lot of emotions wrapped up inside. It's hard to do that when you have a lot of built up anxiety or frustration or whatever is inside. Um, and so you want to make sure you're clear in what you're saying. You're not going to be 100%
Mm-hmm.
understood by everybody, but you want to make sure that you can at least be heard, or what you say is understood to some capacity. Uh, you know, so I think mental health is important for that reason, for somebody who's trying to give to the culture in
Right.
that kind of way. But I think outside of that, I think just as a person, you need that as a person. You need that for your family. As a person, you need that for your brothers. I was talking with Derek as we were talking about Derek, you know, and you know we were just talking about how the fact, like, man, you need it for yourself. You know, after a while, you start giving too much, and not that you can't give, but man, look, what you don't want to do is you don't want to hurt the people that are riding with you, riding for you, and you don't want to over exhaust all of your energy on the people that really ain't trying to understand what's going on. You don't want to over
Mm-hmm.
exhaust your energy on them, because the people who are really trying to understand, they're the ones who are going to need that extra grace or patience.
Right.
You don't want to be burnt out once you meet up with them. You know what I'm saying? Because they're
Absolutely.
actually trying. So you want to be able to conserve your energy and give it out where it's necessary. And I'm learning that right now myself with everything. So I'm trying to pace myself, take my time, and I don't owe nobody explanation for nothing. I'm just trying to live, trying to breathe.
Yeah.
So
So do you think the Canon that comes out of this break is going to be a different person than the one we saw before it?
look, I'm different every year, bro, with or without this stuff. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Because every day we're constantly given new challenges that shape and mold us to become different people for whatever reason. I'm different because of so many different things, not just
Hmm.
because of this. I mean, I had family members that passed away, uncle died, cousin died, aunt died, my grandmother died. Then we got COVID-19. We still get
Man.
this 2020 black man getting hung still. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm a family man. I got to be a family man. I got to be a leader in my home. I'm learning how to be a husband, a good husband at that. Like,
Hmm.
I'm constantly having to mold and change my perspective and see things from different lenses. Constantly, um, constantly having to go back and change how I may have said something or done something. Because when you're on a public platform, you'll always be critiqued and criticized for
Yep.
what you say or what you do. But even if that's not enough, like you're gonna get it from the ones who love you anyway because they care about you and public perception of you. So they want to make sure that you're good, but you're gonna get it from all angles. And when you get it from all angles, you just got to know that, man, some where it comes from, some angles it comes out of love. Some other angles it don't always come out of love. But you want to be able to
True.
distinguish which ones love me and which ones don't. The ones who love me and calling me like, hey, bro, I'm checking on you because I care for you because I love you. Those are the ones you
Hmm.
give the time to, and the ones that are criticize. You let them do what they're gonna do.
You should gotta let it go.
So I'm not necessarily worried about the ones who don't matter in that sense. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But the ones who are really trying to fight the fight and trying to understand. I want to make sure I have energy for them, patience for them, grace for them when we do have hard conversations. I don't want to come to that conversation depleted and tired and frustrated, and I don't have any patience for them the moment they say something that may not rub me the right way. So,
Right.
yeah.
No, I get that. So and I do like the approach that you've had so far, just reading through your posts on Instagram. Like you're not sugarcoating anything. You're not like it's almost like the time for coddling is over. Like you're very to the point, passionate, and it's got like that righteous, almost like that righteous anger in it, where it's like, listen, this is the facts. Like I'm not trying to say, oh, it's easy, whatever. Like this is what you need to hear, and this is how I'm going to say it and like take it or leave it sort of deal. But I think in a time like this, that's more important because things have been sugar coated for years, right? And you see that they're still happening. So a little bit of blunt in your face is might be the actual key. When you try everything and nothing works, then you got to try something else.
Yeah, I think what's happening is I mean, shoot, like I've been at least in this particular market of CHH, if that's what
Yeah.
you call it, for over 10 years now. And then when I came into this market, I was a lot younger. Um, I would say a lot of stuff, and I have all this energy, da da da. But I didn't necessarily always know how to articulate where my energy was coming from. You
Mm-hmm.
know. And so now that I'm a lot older, I'm a lot more mature. I'm able to say what I mean and mean what I say and stand by it, and not be necessarily worried about how people feel about it. I come from a type of discipleship where it can be easy to fall into people pleasing. It can be easy to fall into trying to make everybody happy. But then when you realize making everybody happy is, for that, it is not the life. uh, when you realize that's more draining to keep that up as opposed to you just being who you are. Um, I think you realize like it's not healthy, and you have to be able to stand on your own and say what you feel,
Yeah.
what you say. I think, as far as we're talking about, time for coddling and whatnot, I think that should have been done a long time ago. These feelings and these emotions and the stuff that I've been saying isn't anything new. Look, I've lost thousands of followers, thousands
Wow.
already,
Wow.
thousands, and I'm not worried about it. I'm not tripping, and I think it's good that they leave because they're gonna get some more of this. But I've lost thousands of followers, and I've gotten messages saying, "Yo, Canon, I used to love you, man. I sadly I gotta leave. I gotta stop listening to your
It's
music."
crazy.
And I'm like, by God's grace, be gone. Like, in a
Thanks
nice
for
way,
the favor.
But the reason I'm not worried, the reason I'm not tripping, and I'm actually glad because I want to be able to look into to the audience and know that the people in the audience are fighting with me, not against me. When I do shows, I want to be able to say, hey, they're the ones who are fighting to understand. Not look at them and be like, hey, y'all don't really care about me. Y'all just want me to shut up and dribble, or y'all just want me to shut up and rap. Y'all don't care about who I am as a person or how these laws affect me or my family.
Yeah.
Like, you just want me to shut up and rap. And I'm like, I'm not there for you like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't sign up for that. But a lot of messages that I might get is like, yo, man, I was following you since Loose Cannon Volume 2. Da, 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 da. And I'm like, well, if you were, then you ain't listened to it because I got tons of songs on there where I'm talking about the same stuff I'm saying now. Go back
Yeah.
to LCB2. I wrote a song called Dreams. Like, that's about what I'm talking about right now. Like, so a lot of the stuff that I'm passionate about, I've been passionate about, I've been talking about.
Yeah.
It just so happens that there's only so much of a space to talk about these things. And
Hmm.
so when that's the case, after a while, you either say, well, I'm gonna stay in this really, really small space where you can't necessarily vocalize your reality. I can either stay here or I can just supersede that and just be where I'm at. And so I'm not, at this point, I'm just like, look, I'm not living for CHH. I'm not living for no particular market. I don't live for RMG. I don't live for Rapzilla. I live for me, my family, and God. So at the end
Absolutely.
of the day, if I got something to say and I got to get it off my chest, and I know that this is a healthy perspective for those who are seeking for healthy perspectives, um, man, let it be known. Let it be. But I think Lil Cannon that came in the game 10 years ago is out the window. Like, y'all got to deal with grown Cannon. It's just like, look, yeah, I ain't scared of none of y'all. You know what I'm saying? Like, I got what has to be said has to be said. What got to be done got to be done, and with no apology. You know what I'm saying? Um, so yeah, you know what I'm saying.
No,
I'm saying
that's
what I
dope.
feel, and I'm sticking to it. That's pretty much all it is. And again, these feelings ain't nothing new.
Hmm.
These have been here. You know what I'm saying? We've been had conversations about this for years. We've been felt this way for years. Like I've been telling people beforehand, the only reason we don't do half the stuff we do or say half the stuff we say as Black individuals in this particular culture or market is because of white fragility. We don't say certain things because of how white people feel. We don't do certain things because of how uncomfortable white people feel. Is I greet my homies a certain kind of way, but we don't do that publicly because of how uncomfortable white people may feel. And sometimes Black people don't feel comfortable too. But at the end of the day, we've done what we've done and said what we said, or have not done what we've wanted to do, or have not said what we wanted to say because of white fragility. And I think at this point, you just have to stand where you stand. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't just be afraid of the people that hold the dollars and ducats. Like, you got to be able to say, look, I may take an L, but this is where I stand. You know what I'm saying? I may lose thousands of followers, hundreds of followers. But this where I stand. I'm not a martyr. I'm just a human being. That's it. You know,
Right.
and I just got to stand where I just got to stand on my own word and try to encourage the people in my circles. So that's it.
And that saves your peace of mind because it lets you be real. Like instead of having even a tiny bit of a facade just to appease people that aren't even going to agree with anything or maybe rock with you when you need them the most.
Yeah, yeah. Like, I think if at this point in 2020 you still have to be convinced that systemic racism is real and that racism affects our country the way that it does, I think if you still have to be convinced of that, I don't think you've been paying attention to the narrative at all. And it's at this point, it's not my job to educate you on something that's been a 400-year issue. You know what I'm saying? Like at this point, you just haven't cared, and I can't make you care. I can't make you care for lives that are being lost. I can't, and I've taken my efforts to do things like having panel discussions or
Yeah, I saw
going
that. Yep.
with my fans and talk to them and try to hear their perspective and see, all right, I see what y'all saying in the comment section. I see what some of y'all saying. You gotta help me. You gotta help me understand where you coming from with some of this logic. Cause some stuff don't add up. You know what I'm saying? And um, it's helped me realize, man, like, my different platforms are different platforms. I can say something on Instagram and I might get like a lot of like, yeah, amen to that. That's what's up. We got your back. But then on Facebook, my Facebook following, I don't know where them jokers came from. I don't even know,
I feel the same way for Rapzilla. It's like, yo,
bro.
why did you like this page?
Like my Facebook following, I'm shocked at some of the responses that I have seen with just my Facebook follow. I'm just like, I don't know how did y'all even end up here if that's what you believe. But at the end of the day, uh, God can change any person. He can redeem any person's heart, any person's mind. There was a point in time with Paul, he was persecuting Christians because of what he believed, and God changed him. And so I think, we have to be able to give that same grace and extend that same grace, not because of what has been done, but because of the potential of what God can do himself.
Yeah.
And so I want to be able to continue to leave that door open. But it's not always going to be open for everybody. I think you have to be able to say, look, I'm definitely not the person that you want to talk to for this issue, because I mean, our views are so far apart. I don't know if you're going to actually listen.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'm here for the ones who want to grow, for the ones who tired and fed up. Like I'm right there with you, But I don't want to shoot down the allies, the ones who have been
Right.
fighting. I don't want them to be overlooked either. So
So can you maybe talk a little bit about the track Evil that you put out? I mean, the message in it is self-explanatory. Like how has that message, I guess, in the song been received? And do you feel like it's been effective in what you were trying to say in it?
yeah,
Or is it more just you venting and you weren't even necessarily caring what people thought about it?
it was both. Um,
Okay.
it was both. I knew I had to have conversations with the team because I said the word nigga on the song, and I said it out of frustration. But and I don't apologize for using that word to nobody. But I definitely had to have a conversation with the team just because I knew this would be something different than what I normally put out. When I
Right.
originally wrote it, I was just writing my frustrations down. It wasn't anything strategic of what I was trying to say in particular. I just knew I had something to say, and I knew my best form of communication at times is through my music. So
Sure.
I'm like, let me just put it in my music and see what comes out. And I had a ton of different things, different approaches I thought about. I was just like, nah, I need to go for it. And so, so I'm in the studio and I'm just like, I'm just going. I'm just going. I'm writing. I'm writing. I actually recorded that over a different beat, and then I came back and reproduced the whole song by itself altogether. And so, when I did that, um, at first, my mentality was, I don't care what people gonna think about this. I don't care.
Mhm.
My whole thought in the back of my head was, I am not living and breathing and dying for white fragility anymore. I'm not. I'm not. Like, if it's folks offended by this, they probably need to be offended by this. If it's folks that's like, yo, this was an eye opener, praise God. If it's folks that's like, yo, we with you, praise God. But I'm like, this needs to be said. And I think you realize who the people are that are with you once you put a flag into the ground and say, this is where you stand. And I needed to do that. Like, I needed to be clear, like, hey, uh, this is why I stand. I stand with my people. I stand with
Mm-hmm.
their pain. I stand where they're hurting. And, uh, you know, you can either be over there or over here. But this is where I stand. And so I think that's just what a man does. Like, he says, this is what I'll stand for. This is what I'm about. And if you against it, then, hey, there go the door. Go kick rocks. You know what I'm saying? I'm not here. I'm not here for you, and I'm not here to
Mm-hmm.
make you happy. I'm here to give you truth. I'm here to help enlighten you. I'm here to encourage, but I'm not necessarily here to be everybody and their mama's friend. And so I put the song out, and we agreed to try to put two different versions out. One where I go all the way through with everything that I say, and then a more clean version for those who want to share it that doesn't have the N word in it. Um,
Yeah.
we make that available too. So, but I knew putting this out, we all thought like, yo, there could be a lot of flack for this. It could be a lot of flack for this song, because of stuff I'm saying in the song. And in my head, I was just like, I don't care, bring it,
Yeah.
bring it. Like, if people are frustrated with what I'm saying more than they're frustrated than what's actually happening to people, then I'm like, you're not listening. If you're more frustrated that I'm saying that I didn't have a personal experience that was good when dealing with law enforcement, if you're more frustrated with that than law enforcement actually killing unarmed black people, then I think you're missing it. And for those who are like
Yeah.
so hung up on me saying the word nigga in the song, uh, versus what I'm actually saying altogether, then look, it ain't for you. You know what I'm saying? It ain't for you. But I'm not here for everybody and their mama. I can't be. You know what I'm saying? I'm here for the people who want to be here. And outside of that, I ain't got nothing for you. You know what I'm saying? I don't. So there are billions of people in this world. I can lose thousands of followers and gain another 1,000. You know what I'm saying? Like, the music industry, it ain't going nowhere, and neither am
Yeah.
I. So I'm not threatened by the naysayers. I'm energized by the ones who hear it because they want to be here, and those who want to grow and advance because they want to see people grow and advance in their community and in their culture. So that's what I'm here for. Like, I'm done shucking and jiving for folks who really don't care nothing for my people and my culture. I'm not here for that.
Yeah.
So
So what do you think is your hope for the future, or your hopes for the future, and do you kind of see any glimmers of hope within that future,
um
or
man,
so far do you see any glimmers of hope?
overall for like the country, or are you talking about just for me? Like,
I guess for both.
well, I think let's start big picture first. I think there is hope. Um, I'm not finna Jesus you can be like, I just hope in Jesus, because we know that.
Mm-hmm.
um, I think there's hope if people take what he actually did seriously, not just what he did on the cross, but what he did on a horizontal standpoint. Like, if they take what he did seriously, if they look at how he treated the woman at the well, how he treated the woman who was caught in adultery, how
Yeah.
he wept, how he mourned, for Lazarus when Lazarus died. You know what I'm saying? Like, the fact that he felt and the fact that he grieved for loss, because of loss of life. Um, I think if people pay attention more to actually what he did than what was done to him, I think there's hope. I think there's hope, if once people stop fighting to be accepted by the masses and what the mass say. I think there's hope. I think uh, there's hope if we continue to stop thinking through, if we continue to start thinking through what is necessary for people to be healthy in a community and what does
Mm-hmm.
protection look like in a community. I think there's hope. I think there's hope when people give up privilege, and they say, hey, I don't really deserve this space. You do. You work harder than me. Your work is better than mine. And I just got here because of how I look, and you didn't get to where you are because of how you look. I think there's
Mm-hmm.
hope when people start taking away their own power and they start distributing it to those who actually deserve that power. I think there's hope. I think overall, man, there will be more hope. The more when people start listening, as opposed to trying to justify the wrong that's been done. A lot of times when an unarmed black man gets killed, the first thing that you see happen is they try to defame the person that died, which I don't understand how any human being could do that.
Yeah.
Um, but they try to defame him with whatever past crime he may have had or whatever. And I think there will be hope the moment people stop trying to justify people dying um, in the way that they've died. So I just think there's a hope in humanity once people start looking at the humanity that the humanitarianism that the humanitarian that Jesus actually was. If we want to talk about being, having hope for humanity, we actually got to look at what he did, um, and treat people like how he treated people, and not try to justify in real terms BS that's been going on in our country for so long. So I have hope. If that's in consideration, I have hope. Outside
Yeah.
of that, I have very little hope. Um, I don't have a whole lot of hope in Jesus. I don't have a whole lot of hope in man. But as far as for me, I'm hopeful. That's why I'm taking these breaks. I'm taking a break just to get my head and my heart right, spiritually, to get just where my mind at some point used to be. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so I think for me, there's hope when I take time away from stuff like this. That there's hope when I say, all right, enough is enough. Let me go have a couple conversations with people that are healthy that can help.
Yeah.
I feel hopeful when I'm able to say, hey, to my family, hey, look, I'm taking a break so I can be here for y'all, so I can be present for y'all,
That's
so I
real.
can
Yep.
serve y'all because y'all my first ministry. Um, when I don't do those things, then I start losing hope because I'm like, dang, I'm not at a healthy place, and we need to be at a healthy place. So yeah, I don't, and all of that hope is again rooted in the Most High, but again, like I have very little hope for humanity, but much hope in the one who can change humanity. And I pray that that real change really comes, as opposed to people just talking about wanting change. That people are willing to actually take real L's for change. You know what I'm saying? Like I said before, and this ain't no bragging points at all, because we worked hard for this. We worked hard for the platform that I have, for the brand that I have. I've lost
Yeah.
thousands of followers, bro. Thousands,
I've
thousands.
seen many artists who've said it. I went to Toby Mac's page. Toby Mac, 1.5 million followers, Instagram, Twitter, and he just put the black square.
Yeah.
And I would say 85% of the comments were like, "I'm unfollowing you," or this and that. I could have sworn he lost probably like over 200,000 followers on all his platforms, and you're talking about like the biggest artist in
Yeah.
Christian music,
And the
and
thing
he
is,
took that out.
and the
He
thing
didn't care.
is, if I'm honest, like these L's aren't even the L's that are in comparison to those who really took real L's.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? We may lose some followers, but you got to remember somebody lost their life.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like I could lose 1,000 followers. You know what I'm saying? 100,000 followers. I ain't even got 100,000 followers to lose, but I can lose 100,000 followers, and it'll still never compare to the person who lost their life.
Lost their life.
You know what I'm saying?
100%.
So, because at the end of the day, those followers still have a life to go to, but the person
Mm-hmm.
who lost his life doesn't. So, at the end of the day, I'm not finna lose no sleep over how many followers I lost, because somebody lost their husband, somebody lost their friend, somebody lost their brother, somebody lost their uncle, and that'll never compare. Never.
I think one of the most poignant things I read on your page was that you said that you've like trying to find your joy again.
Yeah.
And that stood out to me because, I don't know you super well, but I've been around you. We've spoken a lot, and you're always joking. You're always happy. You're always whatever. And then just seeing somebody that I know that has like that fire, and they're like, I can't find my joy. And I think there's so many people that are feeling that same thing as you. Like, how am I ever going to find my joy back? Like, how are things ever going to go back to normal?
Yeah.
And I guess for you, I know I asked you about like your hopes, but for you, what do you think will help bring that joy back? What needs to
Man,
happen?
I don't know. I don't I don't have an answer for that. You know, I think some of it is the obvious, like,
Mm-hmm.
you know, being able to hear from the Lord again and just you know, having my face planted in the word, you know. But I think it is true for us to know and understand that our joy was not meant to be sustained here on this earth.
Mm-hmm.
Um, our joy our joy was meant to be in the Lord Jesus. Um, and you know, if the Most High has all the joy, that's what I need for it. You know, that I need to be where He's at to get it. And I know He's omnipresent, but I need if let me be clear. When I say I need the Most High, like what I'm saying is like it's not. I don't just need the Most High to be present in my little devotional time.
Mm-hmm.
I don't need just the Most High to be present when I go home. Like I need the Most High to be present in our judicial system. You know what I'm saying? Like I need the Most High to be present. You know what I'm saying? When I go to the grocery store and there's racial tensions there, like we need the Most High there. Like I don't just I'll find joy where the Most High is at, and the Most High. I'll find joy in our judicial system once I see the Most High in our judicial system. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, I don't have an end all be all answer for that, but all I know is it's only wherever the Most High is. So I pray that first and foremost I have him here, um, and that I can bring him wherever he may not be present or seem present.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but you know that joy is hard to come by nowadays. That joy, that genuine joy, it's hard to feel. It's hard to feel like it's tangible or that it's actually accessible during these times. And look, man, I'm not here to paint a fake smile. Like I'm just like, look, life sucks. Life sucks. Like the country is on fire. The world is on fire with a worldwide pandemic. Like if you're not okay, it's okay to not be okay. You know what I'm saying? Like it is
Facts.
okay to
Yep.
not be okay. You do not have to be Superman right now and have an answer for everything. And you do not have to have all the Bible verses just stacked up in your back pocket for a rainy day. Like I'm saying, I know I know all the verses, and like it's gonna take some prayer for them verses to actually feel real, feel like something.
Mm-hmm.
But I know they are real, you know, because I didn't just start walking this walk yesterday. Like I know they're real. Um, and so I pray that we see the Most High in all of in all the areas where we see fallen man. When I see him in all those areas, and I see God working Himself through all these areas where man is broken, that's when I feel like my joy will come back because I see the Most High fleshed out. I see Him. I don't just feel Him where I'm at, but I see Him working
Mm-hmm.
on the behalf of not just myself but other people that I love. So
I
when I
got you. Yep.
yeah, so yeah, I hope that answered the question.
No, you're good. You're
Yeah.
good. So my last question for you is, you're tired. So many people are exhausted. So what can everybody else, non-Black community, do to kind of take the burden off of Black women and Black men to kind of continue these conversations when you've exhausted your conversations, when you're tired, when you don't feel like there's anything left to say? How can everyone else kind of relieve that burden?
Yeah. I think one just be present. Like I mean, people are already tired of trying to explain a time. Like
Mm-hmm.
people are tired of trying to explain to people what's been here. Um, And I get that question a lot. Like, what do we do? Right. I'm sorry. I'm trying not to burp. Like, I literally had this Chinese food, Thai food. Sorry. I had this Thai food before I got on. But no, I would say one, uh, don't look for the quick fix. Um, when people don't understand what's wrong or they see a lot of stuff that's wrong, they're looking for a quick fix. How can I quickly fix this problem? And you got to understand this has been here longer than you and your family. This has been here longer than anything that's here. This is a 400-year issue of this country, not just in the world. This country, 400-year problem. Um, so don't be quick to fix something. Don't be looking for a quick fix. And when I mean quick fix, I'm saying if your quick fix is to throw some money at a black organization because you feel guilty, then save your money. You know what I'm saying? Or shoot, them organizations might actually want your money, but
Yeah.
but just know that's not going to change the narrative. You know what I'm saying? Like hold on to that, because it's not going to necessarily help what we're dealing with for real. It's money ain't necessarily the biggest issue right now.
Mm-hmm.
Now in certain communities, yes, it could be very necessary. But right now, I think people just need to understand what's happening and what has happened. So before you're quick to do anything, I think you need to be quick to understand the narrative. You need to be quick to read and educate yourself on what has been here. Um, I'm only 31. You know what I'm saying? And uh, this issue was older than me. It's older than my grandparents. It's older than their grandparents.
Mm-hmm.
And if your grandparents haven't necessarily taught you the truth of what happened to my grandparents, then you have a lot of studying to do. I would say do your
Right.
research, educate yourself on the bigger problem, um, educate yourself on what people are feeling. Just like Jesus and Lazarus, somebody died, but he still felt. And you got to remember, like, Jesus could have kept Lazarus from dying. He could have kept him from dying. He could have prevented it, but he knew it was necessary. And he knew it had to happen. And when it did happen, he still chose to feel. Don't even knowing that Lazarus' hands, like his life was still in his hands, he still chose to feel. He still chose to mourn. He
Yeah,
still
that's
chose to
powerful.
identify what was going on. He still chose to do so. Um, and I don't want to take any credit for this, because even just my thinking about Lazarus came from my own personal pastor, Pastor Chris Williamson, as he was even telling me, he's like, look, man, as people are mourning, they need to realize Jesus did mourn when Lazarus died, and Lazarus could have been prevented from dying if Jesus just did whatever he could have done to keep him from dying, but he allowed it, and as he allowed it, he still chose to feel the pain that was felt. And so I think people need to take a second, take a break, analyze what's happening, and take a moment to try to absorb what people are feeling and what they are saying, as opposed to trying to like justify the wrong that's been done to them. Um, and I think lastly, don't sit here and try to create something new. We don't need a new invention on fixing racism.
Mm-hmm.
We need what should have been done a long time ago just to be done. Um, we don't need you to try to reinvent a new wheel or whatever. We just need you to support what's already been done. Again, Breonna Taylor's murderers are still free. They're still free. And you
Yep.
don't have to create a new petition. You don't have to create a whole new, uh, whatever, to bring attention to that. All you got to do is support the people that are already pushing for it. So support the lawyer who's fighting on her behalf. You know what I'm saying? Reach out to him. Say what do you need to be done? How do I need to get people active where I'm at? Like, what do I need to be like? Support the people who are already doing this stuff. Like,
Mm-hmm.
support the people who are already vocal. You don't have to be the one vocal. I think a lot of times white people are used to having the privilege of sitting in the front seat. No, big dog, you gotta sit in the back seat on this. You gotta sit in the back on this one. Because historically, your ancestors did not do well with this. Historically, ancestors did not necessarily, they weren't, this was not their strength. Okay. Racism was not their strength. And I'm not saying all white people's ancestors were racist, but what I am saying is this. Let me clarify. What I am saying is this. Black people have been saying racism is wrong for 400 years. You might want to just sit the back seat and let them have this conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Let them talk. Listen as they talk. Um, don't just listen just to say that you said that, just to say that you like heard what they said, but like absorb what they're feeling. And then look around you. Look at the relationships you have. If most of your relationships is white, it might not be right. You know what I'm saying? Like, just be real. If all your relationships is somebody white, then it ain't right. Because at the end of the day, uh, to be a healthy individual, you need to be well rounded in different cultures with different kinds of people around you. You should be able to look down the street and see different people of color. You should be able to look down the street and see people that look differently or think differently than you. My entire block is different people every house. I got white people on my block. I got Kurdish people on my block, Turkish people
That's
on my
cool.
block, Korean people on my block, like all black people on my block, white folks on my block, all on the same block. Your block should be a representation of how Jesus saw the world, how God saw the church. Your interactions with people, your relationships should look like how God viewed people. Period. Different, different backgrounds, different ethnics, all kinds of difference. Your relationship should look like a world of difference, as opposed to everybody just looking like you.
Mm-hmm.
So I would definitely look at your relationships internally and look at the relationships you probably need to build. But you don't have to be a scholar to know that racism is wrong. So I don't know why people keep asking us what to do. You know what I'm saying? Like, we scholars on this. Like, like, I'm a regular person. You know, I did not go to school and get a degree in racism. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm just a
Yeah.
black person who has to deal with this stuff, from time to time. And so, you don't need a degree, a law degree, to know that this stuff is wrong and that it affects people. Like, you don't need that. You just need to be honest, and you need to speak up when it is wrong. When your friends are saying stuff and it's wrong and you know it's wrong, don't be passive. Let them know they're wrong. Tell them, hey, that's not acceptable. You would never say that if somebody of color was sitting here. So don't say it while I'm sitting here. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So I think those things need to happen. I mean, I can go through a million different things that need to happen. But as far as it's simple, educate yourself and look at the relationships around you.
Yeah. Yeah. That's such a great point of what you said. Like, there's so many scholars and experts and people with degrees or people that are knowledgeable at one thing, but like it's like at a time like this, all black people are expected to be experts on racism and the history of slavery and all of that, and expected to field everybody's questions all the time. And much to the black community's credit, from what I've seen, like everybody is, most people are able to have those conversations, which is an amazing thing in itself, because not everyone's going to be an expert in anything. But when you have this lived and kind of shared experience is going to breed knowledge on a particular subject because you know firsthand. And that should tell you, that should tell everyone else well enough that, oh, this must be serious if every single person in the black community can speak on this with some sort of knowledge. Then you would
But
think that
yeah,
shared experience will say, hey, you know, they didn't all go to school for this. They didn't all go to college and get some sort of degree to figure out historical studies and stuff like that.
yeah.
So it's a valid point.
I'll add one last thing to this. Like, and this is just for those who claim they Christians, um, who say they still don't get it. Like, if you still don't get it, then it's hard for me to say that you really understand the person you worship. And the reason I say that is because the person who you worship, Elohim, the Most High, however you want to put it, uh, he comes from a long line of family members who struggled. Like, Jesus' family, his ancestors. If we think of the lineage of David,
Mm,
we're thinking going all the way back to Moses. Jesus' ancestors were slaves. They were slaves. And if you cannot if you cannot identify with him who was a descendant of slaves and then look at me and think there's any different, you don't know the person you worship, because the person that is in that Bible was a Hebrew man who was a descendant of slaves. And you say that you worship him and you love him, but yet you don't understand what's going on, the very same things that happened in the Bible. Jesus was a descendant of slaves, and he had to continuously walk his people through stability mentally, emotional stability, how to treat people right. He had to continuously show people, hey, the way that you look at the Samaritans is wrong. Like, he had to do that. He had to even show his own disciples, look, the way that you look at this woman is wrong. The way that you look at these people is wrong, because you too were a slave. So
Yeah.
if you can't understand the issues that's been going on, you need to look at the Savior that you call Savior, because at the end of the day, he's a descendant of a slave, saying the same thing we've been saying, the same thing. Hey, this is wrong. This is wrong. And Jesus did not need Instagram or Twitter or anything to prove himself. He was like, look, let me just quote what happened back in the day so you can understand. This ain't nothing new. You know what I'm
Yep.
saying? And uh, so yeah, like, don't claim you know Jesus, but then at the same time be scratching your head about the fact that this is hard to understand. No, the Hebrew Jesus that you worship and serve, like, they was running after him to kill him since he was a baby. You know what I'm saying? And he had to flee. Like, a lot of what is going on today, Jesus had to deal with. You know what I'm saying? They was trying to kill him. I think it was King Herod was trying to kill him as a baby, because he claimed to be the savior. You know what I'm saying? With us, we are claiming to say, hey, we're God's people. We're God's people, willing to look like Jesus. But at the end of the day, if we're not willing to go through what Jesus went through or what his people went through, then you won't be willing to go through what people are going through right now. You won't be you're gonna miss out on a lot trying to help people today. But look at Moses. Look at where he was. You know what I'm saying? Look at the fact that I say it all the time. Moses woke up in Egypt and thought he was Egyptian, right? But he realized, oh shoot, I'm not Egyptian. I'm Hebrew. I'm a Hebrew man. And he saw his people enslaved and saw something was wrong. And so he acted. You know what I'm saying? And what I'm getting at is to make my point clear is, um, we gotta realize we don't necessarily belong here. Our joy does not belong here. Our joy belongs in the Most High and the Elohim. Like, our joy is in Him. Period. Um, and just because we woke up in America doesn't necessarily mean we belong to America. You know what I'm saying? I don't belong here. I live here, but my soul does not belong here. My soul does not belong to that flag. You know what I'm saying? Like, my soul belongs to the Most High. Period. And so if we can't see through that lens, we're gonna have a hard time when it comes to our politics. Where does your soul belong? To the flag or to the Most High? Because this body gonna go back down to the ground. So where
Right.
does your soul belong? So um, I think there's hope. I just think it's gonna take a long. It's gonna be a long journey to get there. But I think there's hope.
That's dope, man. Thank you so much for your time and for your wisdom. And,
Appreciate you.
I pray that you, on this rest, that you get that, that hope and that joy back. And then
Yeah.
I could talk to you again, a couple of weeks, couple of months, however it is.
Like,
And you could roast me or do whatever you want.
I got you. Don't worry about it. By that time, I'll probably have a couple jokes ready. So
Okay. Yeah, you can prepare your joke routine until then.
I
But
got
nah, man, like I said, I really pray that this time of rest is like really impactful for you. And before you go, I know you said you're deleting your social media off your phone, I'm assuming, but where,
Oh, this junk.
all right. So for when you get back, where can people follow you, listen to your music, and just stay up to date?
I mean, shoot, you can always go to shoot, if you on Instagram now, you probably been following me already. But if not, go to Get the Canon, GETTHECANON, GETTHECANON, Get the Canon, and that's on everything. On everything I love. Nah, but it's on all platforms. Just Get the Canon. That's on Twitter, Facebook, all that. Instagram. If you can't remember that, just go to GetTheCanon.com. You know what I'm saying? I finally paid my website fee, so the website's still up. So follow if you may, unfollow if you may, but I'm gonna be where I'm at, and I love those who have supported me, and I love those who have tried, and even if people stop supporting or whatever, ain't no love lost, because I'm gonna keep being me. I'm gonna keep doing what I feel like I'm called to do, but you're sadly mistaken if you think I'm here for everybody. I'm not. I'm here for the people God told me to be here for. So
That's it.
yeah, but I love y'all.
All right, bro. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, bro. Love you, man. Hey,
Love you too.
and we gonna catch up soon. I mean that for real.
All right, let's do it.
So, love you, bro. Peace, y'all.
All right, peace. Bye. All right, everyone. That was Canon. This is episode 4 of During Chaos, fostering communication and dialogues with CHH artists that are in the community, actually making an impact. We've had Angie Rose, Kiwi Morse, Rockstar JT, Mike KLV, a couple of other people, can't think of off the top right now. We're going to continue to have these conversations. Today we had Tee-Wyla, Sade, and Canon. We'll be live again next Monday. I'm not sure who's going to be here. Please share this out. Let other people hear this discussion, this dialogue. Tune in every week. It's going to be 9 p.m. Eastern time. I will have usually 3 artists every single week, and we just talk. Usually 20 to 25 minutes. The last person seemingly just goes on for a long time. I have no clue what happens. Okay, Community During Chaos, episode 4. We're taking artists during this time of chaos. What are they doing in their communities? What are they doing to be leaders? And kind of having good discussions instead of all the negative and the bad things that you see in the media all the time. We want this to be a place where we can have those great discussions. Appreciate this. I feel like it's needed. Thank you, A. Ruiz. But that's it. I'm going to be out of here. My name is Justin Sarachik. I am the editor of Rapzilla. You can follow me on my socials below. I just dropped that in there. No, you're good, Tyson. So yeah, it's at Justin Sarachik. I know that is hard to spell. Just sound it out. Sarachik, Sarachik. Yeah, it's good to hear the ways that artists are navigating this time. Warren, I wholeheartedly agree. And it's good to get different perspectives from other people. And I like mixing it up every week, having like male, female, Latino, white, black, just trying to have different races, different, men and women in here to everyone. So everyone could kind of feel included in this conversation, because I feel like oftentimes if you see one of something and too many things, you feel like somebody can't relate. So we have different races, different genders, different people involved, and everybody's kind of working and moving towards the same goal. I think it's going to be much more powerful that way. So again, thank you, Tee-Wyla. You're welcome, man. Thanks for coming on here. Everybody, have a good night, and I will see you all next week. Peace, peace, peace.